as an anorexic, between the ages of about 13 and 21, I was obsessed with dieting and weighed between 85 and 100 pounds, at about 5'6", and that is just part of that's just the physical end of it, but the psychological end of it is that I was driven by this compulsive need to diet, to lose weight. I was obsessed with my own body and was using it as an escape from a lot of pressures of growing up, pressures of responsibility. It was, well, I can go into all of the different things that I've been thinking about as to what was really going on in my mind and what prompted this thing. It began with just a regular diet, and then it snowballed. And
is there a way to tell a compulsive dieter, a teenager who really wants to be thin, from an anorexic? I mean, is there some fine line? Well, can a parent tell if she has a borderline or an actual anorexic in her family?
I think there are a lot of symptoms. A lot of it has to do with the girl's self-esteem and sense of control over her own life. Generally, it happens with people who have everything going for them, seemingly, and yet have a very low sense of self-esteem.
Dr. Blumenthal, is it mostly girls?
It is mostly girls. Girls tend to outnumber
Although
the boys 10 to
happen to a
1.
boy?
It can. It's very unusual, although we seem to be seeing it more often in recent years. I can't explain exactly why that is, but maybe have something.
We were kidding and saying, gee, it might be nice to be an anorexic for a month, so get the weight down. But you don't do that, huh?
No.
You do it for a month and that's it. You got to keep on going, huh?
Is there a underlying sexual implication in all this? Is there a fear of becoming a woman? Does that have anything to do with this?
I think that's tremendously important. I think that's probably the root cause for many young women. That when they're getting into adolescence and their bodies are changing and they're going through puberty, it's very frightening. That plus all of the added complications of growing up makes them want to retreat, to be little girls, to go back. And one way to be a little girl is to starve yourself.
Yet there's the opposite way, those who will eat to make themselves uncomely.
I think it's sort of the same thing. It's the same symptom.
One
Both of them are
extreme,
escapes from the responsibility, the risks that you have to take. And it's a funny situation because this becomes a source of gratification in a way that's sort of a compromise, because the people who get into this want desperately to have the control, to have the responsibility of being grown up, and yet they're afraid to take the risk, to risk the failure that's involved, the necessary failure involved in growing up.
On an average day, what would you eat?
Well, it would vary. I was a binger. It's called bulimia, and it's another aspect. About a third of the anorexics do this. They binge, and then they overdose on laxatives and force themselves to throw up. And that's even more common.
Were you sickly, Amy?
Well, that's a funny thing about anorexia. Physically, no, I was fine. And it's also one of the most difficult aspects of it because generally the parents won't face that there's something psychologically or emotionally wrong, which is I wanted therapy, I wanted treatment, and yet I didn't have the courage to come out and say, look, there's something wrong with me, because I had always been perfect, and my parents thought of me as perfect. So the one thing that they did try to do was they took me to physical doctors, physicians, and said, is there anything wrong? She's so thin, 85, 90 pounds.
Jeez.
It was ridiculous. And they gave me all these tests and said, no, there's nothing physically wrong. You're a little thin. Why don't you go home and gain weight? Which, of course, isn't going to do any good.
Did you know there was something wrong with you?
Oh, yeah, I was frantic. Secretly. In my diaries, and I describe it in the book, the kind of internal rage and panic and complete mystification, because I was really the victim of this whole syndrome. It started out where I was dieting and I had the control, and then it gradually went the other way.
Were you on pills for the diet?
No.
They usually don't take pills. I think it's very important that many adolescent girls go on a diet, and that's perfectly normal and okay. It's when it gets out of control and parents recognize that food has become an obsession and dieting has become an obsession, and that this 90-pound weakling is saying she's too fat.
Yeah.
That's when they have to be quite
Really
concerned
look in
and
the
get
mirror.
help for them.
Yeah, you look in the mirror and you see yourself as fat. Or you see yourself as thin, but never thin enough.
Right.
It's,
Yeah,
I
read that in
I
your
would
book.
say, I look in the mirror and see that I'm thin. it's so hard to keep myself going, but I still have to lose another 5 pounds. I have to do it because I was terrified if I gave up, I would lose my whole identity.
Now, what got you out of this? A personal crisis? Is that what happened?
It was a
usually?
very, very slow transition, and it's really, I think it was a terrible waste in my life that I didn't see a therapist and didn't get out of it faster. It was a transition that took years and had to do with building up my self-esteem via my first boyfriend and then an increasing, enlarging circle of friends. It involved getting away from my home. It involved slowly transferring the energy that I was putting into that obsession into different obsessions. First, the obsession with my boyfriend, obsession with studies, and then gradually branching out into different sort of career choices and risking failure. I slowly built up the courage and the strength to go out and try all the things that I wanted to do, some of which defied my parental wishes. And that was a big thing. I mean, I had to work up the courage to say, this is what I want, this is what I need to do, and even if I fail at it, it'll be all right.